Like, for example, I wonder how many of us complain that we don't have any money, but we've got televisions, and we've got cable, and we've got all kinds of cell phone plans. Oh, but you have to have those things. Poor dad. I need these things to exist in the world. You need those things to exist in the world as you presently are, and as the world presently is. And if you always want to exist in that present world, absolutely, it makes all the sense in the world to spend it on those things. But if you want to create a different kind of a world for yourself, then you have to remove yourself from this world that you presently inhabit and start imagining and creating the world that you want it to actually be. It's a heck of a question, man, because like our purpose and our meaning are the things that get us up out of bed every morning, whether we realize it or not. Like everybody who's in here right now is here for some kind of a purpose. Why are you in this classroom?
People come to see their friends.
Exactly. That's a big part of it, man. You come to see your friends. And I ask this because we should call things by their proper names. It's what makes life so much simpler. It's when we talk in euphemism and metaphor a lot of times that we don't really get anywhere. Why are we here today? For a brighter future. Really? Anybody wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go to school today so that I can have a brighter future? No. I know that, I mean, sometimes I don't understand why, really. I genuinely don't understand outside of something like this. And then even this is a strange one. Like I have people who come in here and they stick their AirPods in and they don't hear a word I say. It's like, why are you here? My parents make me. Well, if your parents were standing right in front of you, would you be doing this? Well, of course not. Well, then, why not stand up to your parents? Well, that's the braver thing to do. You know, why not just then be your own person? It really, a lot of times for us, is this kind of a thing here. I come for the social aspect. And there's nothing wrong with this, because this is where you start to learn how to really be an adult, how to be a human being among other human beings. In other words, you come here and you meet friends, and then you have all this little drama stuff. I don't want to say it that way. It sounds disparaging, but I don't mean it that way. You have all this drama stuff that goes on, and then you learn how to navigate that. You learn how to navigate aspects of life. So you're learning how to navigate those social aspects of life. This is where you do it. It's just kind of like when you have little kids and you see them playing on the playground. One of my rules for my life is I don't interrupt kids when they're playing. You see kids, skateboarding or over at McDonald's on the playground, you get a whole bunch of kids together, and what do they start doing? They start playing a game. And what are the rules of the game? I don't know. Whatever they figure out on their own. If you go over there and they're arguing, let them argue. If you go over there and you go, whoa, what's everybody arguing about? Well, because they're saying I have to. No, I'm not saying that. And what they've now learned is that there's always an authority figure who's going to step in and tell them what the rules of the game are. They never learn how to develop rules themselves. They never learn how to be themselves. They never learn how to take responsibility. They never learn how to lead. All they ever learn how to do is to follow the authority figure. So instead, you let them operate. They're not going to kill each other. But what if they get into a fight? That happens in the real world too. And you start to learn what those hierarchies are like at that age. And so so it's important to let little kids play on their own. Just make sure they don't get hit by cars, of course. Make sure they don't climb up to the top place of a tree. But falling off of a lower branch is fine sometimes. You don't want to see someone break their arm, but when you break your arm, you learn things that you can't learn any other way. When you see kids argue at the playground, they're going to learn things they can't learn any other way if you're always stepping in. And the same thing happens here. You're learning how to socialize with each other. You're learning about drama and rumors and backstabbing and all those kinds of things that you're going to have to know in order to navigate the real world. So there's absolutely an important aspect to this, right? And you're also, hopefully, you're networking in certain ways. Like you're learning, I have this friend who, I don't know, they're not going to, they're not in college, but they're going to a trade school for, like UTI, they're going to work on cars. Now you know somebody who works on cars. Hopefully you know somebody who goes to school and becomes an accountant. Hopefully, one of the great things in my life is I have former students who have become lawyers. Thank God for that. You have a network now of people who you can contact, and that's, of course, how the real world works. So there's nothing wrong with coming for this. Hopefully we don't ignore all of these other things. But my point is that whatever your purpose is for being here, you're probably going to fulfill. If you think, I have no purpose for being here, you probably won't fulfill any of these things. If you understand that your purpose is to do this thing here, the friends thing, then you're going to probably develop a good social network among friends. If you're here to learn and gain knowledge, you're probably going to get that out of it. Whatever you're here for is probably what you're going to get out of it. But if you're here for nothing, then you probably will get nothing out of it. And this is true not just about school, but about work. People, you have a job that you hate, and I'd ask the question, then why do you do the job? I need money. Okay, so what do you get out of it? Nothing. You get money, right? But yeah, but very little of it. Okay, so that's what you're here for. You're here for very little money. You're here to put in a lot of work to get that, but you get that very little money out of it. So good, you're here what you came for. What's the alternative? Go in early, stay late. They don't pay me for it. So, if you're there for money, then it makes no sense to go early and stay late. But if you're there for experience because you want an opportunity to climb up, well then yeah, it makes all the sense in the world to go early and stay late and work harder than everybody else. If you're just there for money, it makes no sense because you won't get any extra money. So the question becomes, what are you there for? Anywhere. You want to have a family. Why? Why? Because I don't know, so I'm supposed to do. And that you'll probably lead your family in a meandering way, with no direction, no discipline, not working towards anything, not moving forward in any way. We just have families that are stagnant. It's like, why do we have them? Just because they exist. We're just waiting till 18 years, and then the family maybe leaves and makes more family. But if there's no purpose, if there's no direction in what we're doing, it doesn't actually get us anywhere. And so this is why this thing is so important, this purpose thing. Whatever it is that you want to accomplish in your life, whatever your purpose is, you probably will accomplish it. But it's difficult to fulfill a purpose if you have no meaning behind it. My purpose is to get money. Why? What's the meaning for it? The meaning of that money? I don't know. Then how are you going to spend it? Some of you, I'm sure, have heard the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I have students who ask me about this book all the time. And in short, the author points out that there are two ways of viewing money. A rich dad way of viewing money and a poor dad way of viewing money. The poor person's way of viewing money is, I go get money so I can spend it on this, whatever. Cars, rent, food, clothing, whatever. Necessities. The rich person's view of money is, I get money and I use it for purposes. Not just to provide basics, but for purposes, to grow wealth, to grow influence, to invest and make it more to provide for future generations. It's a resource. It's not a payout thing, it's a resource. And of course we think like, well yeah, but if you have a lot of money, then you can use it for that. No, as the book points out, no, you have to cut yourself back on things. Like for example, I wonder how many of us complain that we don't have any money, but we've got televisions, and we've got cable, and we've got all kinds of cell phone plans. Oh, but you have to have those things. Poor dad. I need these things to exist in the world. You need those things to exist in the world as you presently are, and as the world presently is. And if you always want to exist in that present world, absolutely, it makes all the sense in the world to spend it on those things. But if you want to create a different kind of a world for yourself, then you have to remove yourself from this world that you presently inhabit and start imagining and creating the world that you want it to actually be. That's your meaning. So you have a purpose for it, now you have a meaning for it. That's why this stuff becomes so important to you. Yeah.
That's how many survivors of like concentration camps and people who went to the Gulag survived. They have a purpose to live, but what the Nazis and the Russians did to those people is take the purpose away from them. That's how they did to those people who didn't survive, because they didn't have purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not really in the news much anymore, but when you look at I mean, if you have a purpose, man, if you have a why, really you can survive almost anyhow. I mean, why not? It's not in the news much anymore, but you look at what's happening in Ukraine. I mean, these are people who are fighting for a homeland. Whether you agree with them or not, whatever side you're on, is not the important thing. Just you have to acknowledge that these are people who are fighting incredibly hard against a much bigger force, and yet they have a purpose for it. They can keep going. How long can they keep going? Yes. Yes, they can keep going to the last person. You know, because of this incredible bravery that we can develop after having a purpose and having a why. So this mystery of human existence, why do we exist? It's a hell of a mystery. It's a hell of a mystery. But we can answer part of it by finding something to live for. And notice he's not saying to discover something to live for. You know, he's saying, I'm sorry, notice he's not saying, yeah, I guess so. Discover the thing to live for, sorry. He's saying we get to find something. So what is it that makes you live for it? Again, we have an idea of what might bring us to school. And it's important for us to know that, because once you know what your reason is, you're probably going to accomplish it, whatever it is. Whatever it is. So now think about life much more broadly. What's our purpose and our meaning for existence? And you're probably, if you have one, if you've really thought about it and you're singularly focused on that thing, you know, this is why, you know, to assume roles is such an important thing. And what I mean by that is, I wonder if anybody in here wants to have a family, or you want to be a husband someday. So then I guess you need to figure out, what is it to be a husband? You know, and I really mean that. Not to just say, well, I get married. What does it mean to be a husband? Oh, it means to be a man who's married. And then we all giggle and laugh. We laugh all the way to divorce court. And we can giggle and laugh all the way to a life lived in, an unhappy life lived in shambles. Because we didn't take the role seriously. You took the role on, you took the responsibility of the role. In other words, you assumed it by saying, I'm going to get married and become a husband. What does that mean, though? To love and to cherish from this day forth, sickness and health, whatever. Really think about this. What does it mean to fulfill your role as that thing? And it's like, no wonder you're an unhappy husband. No wonder you're an unhappy father. A lot of people are. Because they haven't taken their role seriously. They haven't analyzed it and said, these are the things I need to do to fulfill this role properly. We just wing it in life. And these are complex roles, man. These are complex archetypes that we're trying to fulfill. And if we don't take it seriously, then we won't approach it seriously. And then we won't do anything great with it. You know, what does it mean to be a wife and a mother as well? What does it mean to be a son or a daughter? What does it mean to be a friend? Oh, it's too much thinking, and it's too much action for you, and you're not prepared for the role. Because all of those roles are incredibly serious. They all matter a lot. And what matters more than friends and family? I mean like real friends and family. And if we're not prepared to think about it, we're not prepared to assume that role. And I don't know how much meaning and purpose you're going to find in life if you don't assume the responsibility of those roles seriously and fulfill them. I wonder, can you live a fulfilling life without being a friend or without being a family member? So those are the human connections that we talk about. When I ask people, what matters to you? This is what we always say, family, friends. Then fulfill that role. And once you're really good at that role, now you can start to branch out maybe. The role of a CEO, or the role of a fast food worker, or the role of an engineer, whatever. You know, assume that thing, but this is how you create that purpose. You identify what you're going to live for, and you fulfill it, because you assume the responsibility as it is. You pour yourself into it. And at the end of all of it, you can say that, if nothing else, you fulfilled that responsibility, and that's an accomplishment that a lot of people just don't have. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques?